Okay, welcome back. We are here for another exciting chapter in the MODIS Playbook, talking about the full arch dentistry playbook today. And we're back with Dr. Grant Olson from Innovative Dental in Springfield, Missouri. Today we are going to be talking to Dr. Olson about building a content library, specifically an organic content library. And if you're going to build the foundations, what are those core things and where are we going to start? The reason we're talking to Dr. Olson about this is because he has built quite the organic content library. I sometimes refer to him as the king of content. He's built an audience from this content of over 130,000 subscribers on YouTube, has an amazing social footprint, incredible website, etc. And a lot of it comes from a commitment to building great organic content. So today we are going to cover what are the four kind of key pieces of content you need to think about and how you build making that content into your practice on a day-to-day basis so that it's an easy process and not something that you're going crazy trying to think about how to do. All right, so let's start with the first thing, before and afters. Grant, you have an amazing library of patient before and afters. And you take before and afters to another level, I think. It's not just these pictures, of one before picture and one after picture, but a whole slew of intraoral pictures that come in handy. Can you talk to me a little bit about how you think about before and afters and what they've meant so far to your process?
Sure, absolutely. Thanks so much. And yes, this is a great place to start because it requires the least amount of skill, the least amount of confidence, the least amount of team involvement. And I'd say doctors, this is a great way for you to get started, is feeling comfortable with photography. Grabbing the camera. It doesn't have to be a crazy good one. It could be an iPhone at first, but just having the expectation of taking a photo before treatment and after treatment to capture the emotion in the patient's face. What I absolutely love about before and afters, especially full face ones, is you can usually tell, even if you were to remove the smile and put a hand over the smile, you can see the emotion in the whole face, the eyes of the patient. And that's really what's going to draw people into feeling like, oh, I could feel like this person. And that's really what you're trying to get. Obviously, the detail in your work and showing close-ups, that's kind of the next step in before and afters. So you go from full face. You'll notice that that's kind of what's going to set people apart, right? I see a lot of full face when it comes to maybe marketing that is probably not showing the best detailed dentistry, because you can still have an amazing smile transformation, but when you go close up and you look at beyond the face and look at the detail, it might not be as amazing. So that's kind of the next step to capture your work. I think of it as a tool. When I started before and afters, it was a tool for me to get better at my work. So it wasn't just a marketing component. It was like, I need to see these smiles and what we're creating close up so I can evaluate them. And so getting your team involved with this, I think of full face, smile, retracted, biting, retracted, slightly open. So those images kind of illustrate the most impactful, what's going to resonate with our patient the most, right? And bringing your team into this so they can be a part of that process, setting the expectation. We routinely, when we go over the before and afters with our team in meetings, we have to address quality control and taking it with take multiple photos. Don't just take one, right? If you take all these full face photos you have on the left, that's one out of probably 3 or 4 that we took with those patients, and just decided on the one that was maybe the most in focus, had the best framing, maybe the patient didn't blink, they had the best smile. So that's kind of the basics of before and afters. But with transformative dentistry like full mouth reconstruction, it would be sad to not have those photos for using in marketing, training, excitement with the team. And a phrase that kind of resonates with myself and our team is, if you don't have a really good photo of the work you've done, it never happened. So my team's heard me say that all the time. It's like, hey, if we don't have something really good that captures what we've done, it's almost like it never happened. And there's some truth to that, because yeah, you might have an amazing smile, but that person leaves the office, it might only spread to the handful of people they could share it with, but not the thousands of people you can share with on your website, Instagram, YouTube, other patients in your office in the chair. And this kind of brings up something, Sarah, as I'm talking to you. We need to make sure that image consents are a part of every new patient paperwork. So, maybe that's something we can help provide, but that's definitely key. I think, we do that with every new patient at the very beginning. Hey, we love sharing our smiles here at Innovative Dental. We explain to the patient, like, if you found us because of before and after photos, would you consider paying it forward and allowing us to use your photos for the same purpose? Most people are generally accepting of that. Some aren't, and that's okay. But that's kind of how we start that initial patient, input from them to make sure that they're on board with the fact that we take photos in our practice.
Perfect. Yeah, I'll make sure I link that in the notes below so that we have a template for patient consent. Just two follow-up questions for you here, Dr. Olson. One, you mentioned that you get your team involved in this. How do they help you make sure you get these amazing photos of every single patient?
We currently use a Google Photos account. I know it's not HIPAA protected, but it is password protected at least. But we use a Google Photos account to load all of our patient photos. And we have a couple of team members that are responsible for organizing them into albums. And so that's part of the way that they load all the photos. They organize all the patient photos into albums. If they are start photos and we don't have their after photo yet because we haven't completed the treatment, we do we use an IT or an in treatment designation at the beginning of that album. That way we know that we're still waiting on completed photos, and our team is obviously involved in taking the photos. And so I think every doctor should be comfortable. I think we talked about this last time. We shouldn't expect our team to ever do anything that we can't confidently learn, or at least have a good understanding of how to do, especially clinically. I would say taking photos and being comfortable with setting the proper settings on the cameras, aperture priority, which is the setting you want to be in typically. That's the A on a camera, right? And you typically want to be in that 16 to 18 range on aperture. The reason I'm sharing this is if you set the camera at that, your depth of field will capture everything, right? It'll capture the patient's eyes in focus, nose in focus, teeth in focus. When you zoom in, it'll capture molars and their front teeth in focus. If you put it just in auto, as sometimes it depends on the camera, you'll really start getting just a few things in focus and the rest will be blurry. Kind of cool for a nice family photo, but not great for before and afters and close-ups of teeth. We want to show all the detail, for our future patients to be able to perceive and understand the quality of work we're putting into these smiles.
You said you started with an iPhone. Totally okay to use an iPhone. What do you use now, where you're setting those kind of more advanced photo settings? What kind of camera do you use?
Yeah, I'm not 100% certain on the camera. I know it's a Canon, and I know it's a digital SLR. So I think it might be a 5D, but basically any digital SLR, Nikon, Canon is going to be a good start. You want to have a lens that's going to have like a macro lens. We have one camera that's set up with a 100 millimeter macro. That's for our close-ups. It'll give you a distance, something like right there, for getting a close-up smile. And then, not with a full face, just a close-up smile. And then I recommend using the brands, whatever brand camera you're using, use their branded flash for the photography. I've tried other different systems, but the issue with using maybe an unbranded flash is compatibility. And so I use like the Canon macro flash for my macro lens. It's going to fit correctly to the lens. It's going to have the right angle to give good illumination like you see in these photos. And then the same thing with the full face camera. We're going to use a set lens that I think we're using it might be a 28 millimeter or 50 millimeter lens. And we're going to stand at a further distance, obviously, and capture the full face with a flash that's a portrait flash for Canon. And so I utilize two cameras. One's going to be our macro close-up camera, and one's going to be our portrait camera. And so all of these photos that you're seeing here, the close-ups are used with that macro 100 millimeter lens. and then the portrait is used with a portrait lens and a portrait flash. Obviously, like I said, with an iPhone and good illumination in the room, you might need to get some of those lights that you can get off of. Right now you can go to Amazon and grab a ring light, and if you even have one of those set up in front of a patient, you're shooting through that ring light. As long as it's not too big, something like that, you're going to get a great photo. So you don't have to go in full into a more complicated setup to just get started. And we're going to talk about this in a minute, I'm sure. But sometimes the biggest hurdle is not the technology. Maybe not even some fully trained. It's just getting started and doing it, setting the expectation, getting the habit. And I'll tell you, any doctor that's gotten really good at before and afters, the hurdle is always setting the expectation and habit of doing this. It's easy to just get going, forget about doing it for the follow up. So that's important. Like before we even bring a patient back for full arch implant dentistry, our team will always take a photo in the same spot every time. When they're done, they will not dismiss the patient without taking those same photos. And they know that's the expectation. They know I'm going to be very disappointed that we don't have those photos. And so even if, the goal is that they're all great photos, and that's where you're going to have some grace as you get started, because I can assure you they won't all be perfect. And you're going to have to get better at this. But practicing on each other is great. So on our team training, like when we do a training event for our team, and we do like maybe our care days where we clean each other's teeth and do some fillings for each other, we are also going to take the new team members who are not as comfortable with cameras, and they're going to do intraoral imaging, if that's the CEREC or the iTero, and part of that's going to also be doing these intraoral photos for our patients.
Makes sense. Well, it sounds like any photo is better than no photo. So
it is.
Committing to doing this is the first step. It sounds like getting organized, using a Google Drive, or having some sort of process that's pre-thought out, so you have somewhere for these. I've also seen that a lot, where you have all these photos, but they live on people's phones or different places.
Yeah.
Having them in one place and well organized.
That's a great point. We have an office Google account that's what we use for all of our patient photos. When you take these photos, the portrait photo first, or at least right with the profile photos, as long as the camera settings are the same for time and date, right? Then when you go to import these photos, even if you don't import both cameras at the exact same time, the time and date's going to help within something like Google, because it's going to organize all your photos. Even though you haven't put them into albums yet, it's going to organize them all based off of that date and time. So for your team then to drag them in and create an album with the patient's name, it's quite easy. We also create albums with the patient name, the treatment that we performed, whether it's Invisalign, braces, innovative implant smile, which is our full arch implant treatment, veneers, and then maybe a specific, like we did, this is an upper premium veneer, our upper premium IIS, which would be our layered zirconia, right? Or we did 10 veneers and shade bleach 3, or B1. And the reason we're doing that is for future, being able to show a patient, you can go into Google Photos and search the title veneers bleach 1, and it will pull up all your patients and albums that have that. And so it becomes a search tool later down the road if you want to find a marketing piece, or share with another patient what you were able to do in that example of shade or design. Does that make sense?
Yeah, makes total sense. Yeah, it's like tagging all the content. That makes a ton of sense. What is a smile of the week? I love this concept for a number of reasons. But can you talk a little bit about what it is, where it goes, and how you make it every week?
Sure. So smile of the week is really, you've got to think about, and I know this is going to be a future topic, but you got to think about the cycle of kind of like the rhythm or the heartbeat of your practice and what's going to happen every week. I think of success being a weekly structure that we repeat, right? Intentionally setting up things to work out well. So for me, what do we create in a dental practice? It's smiles, right? So we got to think about, okay, what's the most impactful smile of this week? What's the highlight of the week? It's got to be hopefully a smile, a life transformed with the dentistry we do. And so we are capturing this moment to share with our potential future patients, we're also capturing the moment to be able to share with our team and celebrate the success of all of our efforts to create this smile. And so that's what you're seeing here is it's the story behind the patient, how they came to our practice, how they heard of us, who was involved in their success, why they chose to entrust us with the work, and then obviously the physical photos documenting the clinical results for the success of our practice and the patient there. Yep.
Yeah. Wonderful. I love it. These are kind of 7 to 10 minute videos sometimes too that you build out of these photos, right? Right,
Yes.
Dr. Wilson, and
Yes.
most of the time they live on YouTube. You could post them in a bunch of different places. It's such a wonderful way to connect with a patient by, potential future patient by having this content out there. You're showing this amazing work and the transformation of the work, but you're also giving a little purview into your team and who you are as a person, which is hugely helpful in
Absolutely.
the overall kind of treatment process. So it's a great piece of content. Awesome. Well, before and afters. I'll make sure to link some of the camera options we talked about from
Sure.
the iPhone with the ring light all the way through.
Yep.
Okay. Next. So this is one I think a lot of people talk about and think about. A lot of people hire agencies to, bring these big productions in, spend a lot of money on this. But practice overview video. You've got this dental office tour video that you've posted on YouTube that has a ton of views. And it just totally sets the vibe for what innovative dental is. So can you tell me a little bit about how you thought about making this video and what it's done for your practice? Why
Sure.
it's mattered?
Sure. And so I would say to anybody that hasn't recorded video of themselves yet, you're in for a treat unless you're just like, just a God's gift to, a camera. I felt incredibly awkward. I wish I would have saved the videos with my first recording. So I'm sharing this because it was atrocious to see the blooper reel, the uncomfortable level of speech, the way I stumbled through every sentence. So if you're just going, man, I'm struggling to be in front of a camera, I can relate. I will definitely tell you get better at it. You realize that it's not about every word being perfect. It's really about connecting. And so that's what I would say first and foremost. Just understand that people that are future patients, they just want to connect with a person. And especially in a world that's getting more and more less personal and relatable, people are striving for that relational component, and they definitely want it from their dentist, right? So that's kind of the mindset about, first of all, jumping in front of a camera. But we created this practice to not just be a beautiful facility, but it has purpose, the whole design, and we wanted to relate that to patients. So that's what this office facility view was. And I guarantee that every dentist that's really thinking about their patient experience, they've done the spaces, the design, the colors, the rooms, the treatment rooms, the technology. It's about patient care. And so that's what this tour was about, is really walking people through my mindset of why we created the spaces in this office for our patients. That way they didn't feel like it was so daunting to come inside. They felt invited. They could connect with myself and the space and the vision for this facility and hopefully be excited to become a patient.
What kind of advice do you have for people who maybe don't have a giant building to show? Are there other things they can talk about in a video like this that the patient can connect to?
This is where you can share your vision for dentistry and what makes you unique and why you love it. And, I think sometimes we discount, there's a ton of marketing out there that people can perceive as marketing, right? It's just, they don't see it as actual, genuine, authentic people. And so when you jump in front of a camera, this is your chance to really share you as a provider in a way that the competition, the other docs, they're not. And so, you don't have to be polished. You don't have to be perfect. This is about just discussing and getting comfortable sharing with patients, future patients. That's why when I get in front of a camera, I just think about my phrasing, the wording I'm using. I want to be relational. I don't want to try to talk over or super deep in education. I want to be able to relate to patients and them to see me as a real person. My dog comes to work. You saw the photo at the beginning. That's intentional, right? I mean, I have a dog. I bet a lot of my patients do too. I want them to know that, hey, I love my pet. You love your pet. We can relate about the fact we both love pets. I barbecue. I talk about that quite often in videos. So, it doesn't have to be always dentistry, but people want to do business with other people that they like and they relate to. And I think just being intentional about some of the passions that you have and hopefully dentistry, but you can tie in. I think at the end of the video here, I tied in my barbecue. I think we tour a section of the office where I have a grill and I talk about what I love to do is grill for my team. And yeah. So you get the point. Like it's about trying to relate to patients and they look at us as somebody they're terrified of. And if we can come across as people who we are, people that relate to them, they're gonna relax. And I think it's really helped us to create relatable content, genuine, authentic, personal.
Great. That's great. I love it. This is the second piece of before and afters. Really great intro to the practice where you talk about yourself and your team. You connect with patients on a personal level. It's super helpful and foundational to setting up a good content strategy. So let's look at, okay, so we got two more here. The third one here is your smile reveals. So
Yeah.
I love these pieces of content. Can you talk a little bit about them and how you capture them?
Yeah. So really, you're gonna have, and you can't just push this on everybody else. This is about you're gonna have relationship with a patient that you're gonna be able to social cues, right? They're gonna be super excited about their treatment. They're gonna tell you how grateful they are for you. They're gonna come in and say, like this guy on the right there, the video. He comes in and he says, "I can't believe how good I feel," right? And he's gonna go on about that, and that's a moment where you go, "Hey, time out. Would you mind if I just recorded you saying that?" And you, like I said, read the room. Both of these individuals in these videos, they were just so ecstatic about their care. I knew that asking them would be easy, and they would say, "Yeah, I'd love to share this." And so basically, they're repeating what they kind of shared with me already. I do think it is awkward to walk into a room, guns a-blazing, right? Camera on, walking in with a hand, something in their face. And usually I would say a phone is probably the best solution. It comes off super authentic, right? A phone is, it's less invasive to a patient, but also to the perception of people seeing it. They're not going, "Oh, this is a produced piece," right? I think a produced piece, it has its place, but it also, it makes people think that they've been coached and brought along on their responses maybe and their interaction. Whereas these are just off the cuff moments with patients. And I think they're really relatable for people. So there's a lot of good software down there. Blink is one that I like to use. Blink. I think it's available on both Android and Apple, but it is a amazing software that does all your captions, allows you to add in, like the titles if you want to add in titles. The caption software I think is just better than you're going to get on typically like Instagram or TikTok, and it allows you to add it in this photo that you see on the right side. So sometimes it's nice to be able to add in a before while they're talking about their new smile, and so these videos will get thousands of views. If you put them on Facebook and Instagram and you're just talking to the patient, these videos do really well to share it. Plus, we share them with patients, right? You got patients like they ask you, "Is this going to hurt?" I have that video favorited on my phone, so I just go, "Hey, I'm glad you asked. Here's another patient that had the same procedure. Let's see what they have to say. That's way better than me sitting there trying to explain to the patient, no, this treatment's going to be great. You're not going to hurt. It's going to be easy. They're not going to probably buy that. But if they hear it from another patient, it hits totally different, right? So yeah, this style of video portrait, that's great content. And I think, these photos that you have on the right, we do these with, selfishly, I like to think I'm going to have a whole stack of photos of people that I've been able to be a part of their smile journey and their life, especially with the implant procedure. And so I want to capture this moment with them. But it also is, a good opportunity for you to be smiling, excited while they're being excited. So it's a photo that captures all the emotion of kind of this smile journey coming to an end. And now they're going to go off and live their best life with an innovative implant smile. That's the way we phrase it here. And so this is kind of the capstone moment that we want to document. And you could do it too. I mean, when we have a team member that's really connected with the patient, whether that's a treatment coordinator or maybe a dental assistant, grabbing that photo with them is another good way to do it. It doesn't just have to be the doctor.
Yeah, anybody in the team. Perfect. Yeah. All right, and then these are not foundational pieces of content. I think once you nail the first 4 that we just talked about, then you start thinking about something like some of these concepts. But I wanted to bring these in because I think they're really creative, very innovative ways of thinking about content in your practice. And the first one is your Smiles in the Wild podcast. Can you tell me what it is and what the purpose of it is?
Yeah. So Smiles in the Wild is, it's a silly phrase that I kept using with our team. And I said, honestly, I need to start doing some long form interviews. And right now we've got 3 episodes. We're going to keep rocking those. But they're just basically long form interview, thinking through the whole process through a full mouth implant smile. And the reason why I thought about that is, we transform a smile in the office, right? And so I think that is in captivity, right? They're in our practice. They're kind of in the treatment process. But obviously these smiles, these people, they go out and live a life that is different because of the dentistry we provided them. How do we capture that? Because the before and afters we just talked about, they don't really do that. They capture just the smile itself, not the life change, which anybody that's done this procedure knows it is life transformational 100%. Like, it affects every moment of their day, vacation, every meal, every celebration, their job, their career, all of that. So that's what we get into, right? We talk about how it's impacted all these facets of their life and how this smile now is in the wild, being able to take it to the next level of value for this patient. The value that we think of, because we see them in a short window in our practice, is the clinical snapshot of, hey, that's great dentistry. But I think we believe that dentistry can actually impact the overall general life and health and confidence of the individual. This is a way to capture those realities from our patient. So that's why we started that. I've really enjoyed it. The interviews are kind of fun. Yes, these are not viral pieces of content, and you might get a number of nice snippets out of them, and that's helpful, right? You're going to get some phrasing and maybe some hot mic moments where that patient says something that's super impactful. But the reality is that I know I'm not going to get tens of thousands of views probably on a 40-minute interview of a patient that's done this treatment. But what I will get is the few patients that are super interested in this treatment that want to learn more and really are trying to build their trust in who to go to and who to put their smile on their face and their implant smile with. These pieces of content are going to generate a lot of trust, and they're very authentic. You can see in the photo there. I mean, he's just shooting it in his living room. This is they can be very real for people to digest. On the right, it's the same idea. How do we just be super relatable and kind of understand our patient? I thought about with implants, I'm asking my patient, and this is honestly any doctor that does steal the idea. I don't know if I was original. I don't think I got it from anybody, but I don't care if it's duplicated. The benefit of you doing this and doing a 90-day soft food diet is we ask our patients to do this all the time. I do it, multiple times a week. Hey, don't eat any hard foods or steak for 12 weeks. And this is a way I go, you know what? Why don't I document this? It'll make me create great content around, trying to figure out what to eat. I think I went on a vacation during my 90 days and had to document why my kids and everybody was having steak and maybe foods that you couldn't typically have on a soft food diet. I was having the fish and documenting that. So I think it creates good content around food, which who doesn't relate around food, and then family, in restaurants, maybe a vacation. So we created a lot of good content around that. It's something I might even do again at some point, learning what I did through the first time because of how much it generated interest in who I am and my connection with my patients. And so that's what you can think about. And maybe there's just another idea you have to connect with your patients. Kind of depending on where you live, what hobbies might be in your area. I mean, I'm thinking if you're on the coast and you're into fishing, I mean, there's all sorts of ways you could document life and how you relate to patients. It doesn't have to be purely the 90-day soft food diet, but getting outside of your shell a little bit. This is maybe the area where you could be more abstract, right? Just thinking through how to better relate to your patient.
The one last point on the podcast too, I think it's having shot a lot of testimonials now. Testimonials are wonderful. They're concise. They take a lot of production time to set up properly. Not everybody's comfortable just speaking down into a camera, and so it's really hard to get authentic, comfortable information from people. And so I love the podcast concept because you could even record it in a Zoom room, or you could get a basic platform like Riverside or some sort of recording suite like that. And speaking to somebody in a conversational tone, that's more like having a conversation on the phone or, just talking to somebody on FaceTime. You're probably going to get some really authentic moments like Dr. Olson said. So it's a great idea. And then as you said about your soft food challenge, I just thought that was such an awesome way to show patients you're thinking about them. So again, not foundational level content, but really great creative things. Well, thanks so much for your time today, Dr. Olson. You are the king of content, that is for sure. The couple things I think we talked about today and that I took away from this conversation, beyond the really tactical knowledge of how to get this stuff done, is one, make a plan about how you're going to do this. So set up some organization, talk about the kind of content you want to create on a regular basis. Two, you can't expect anybody else to do it unless you're thinking about it. So it really seems like you take ownership in the content you're producing. I can tell you, I work with a lot of different marketing agencies, media agencies. It's really hard to outsource this type of work. May say it's close to impossible because the moments that come about, are they're impossible to fabricate. And to do it at the scale that you need to do it at has to come from the practice and the people inside the practice. So, but bust out your cell phone. I know it's super awkward at first. It's hard to look into a camera and turn on and hit record and look at yourself afterwards. It's really awkward, but if you do it a couple times, it gets easier, and it'll create a window into your practice and let patients connect with you more so than any paid media or stage thing can really do. So any closing thoughts, Dr. O, for on the word of content?
I would say that a lot of the ideas that I got around content creation had to do with things that impressed me. Okay, so I'll give you a quick example. Why did I decide to create a YouTube channel? Well, I had never, I was in my 30s. I was pretty overweight. I needed to cut weight. I just wanted to feel healthy again, right? It was my goal to just be healthy when I was about 32. I just had my son. I wanted to play with him. I thought about a life and a future ahead, and I was going, man, I'm not going to have a very healthy, vibrant, active life with my son if I just keep gaining weight and become more lethargic. Okay, so I turned to YouTube to try to figure out how to not just run myself to death and lose weight, but I wanted to lift weights. I wanted to get, do resistance training. Never done it before. So I went and started watching these guys on YouTube. And so I go, well, wait a second. They're teaching me. They're showing their personality. They're what made me attracted to certain teachers, right? And certain channels. And so think about content creation as you're probably already digesting content. All of us are, from people or organizations that reach us. And so you can take a lot of these ideas and try to go, okay, how can I maybe adopt some of their strategies to implant dentistry? And there's definitely a lot of different ways you can do that. So I think a lot of what I shared today, I borrowed from trying to learn fitness. Some of it was why do I choose to go to a certain? I mean, we go on vacation. Like, why did this Instagram page from this company attract me versus this one, right? And so you think about content creation as something you're already digesting. We just need to learn how to borrow from the best, right? So that's a good solution to content.
Great. All right, well, that's another chapter in the MODIS Playbook. Thank you, Dr. Grant Olson from Innovative Dental, for letting us take a peek inside the content kingdom you've created. So thanks.
Great. Thank you. Appreciate it.